Calafiori makes no sense, bro. The man plays left back, somehow has a free role, somehow makes it work. He's an illusion. But yeah, you see what happens when you stay fit. You get that continuity, you get that confidence, and you're putting in performance. You need to calm down with the foul sometimes, but I love Calafiori, and he was even allowed to use a towel today. Barely put a foot wrong this season. We've got fantastic competition on the left-hand side between him, Miles Lewis-Skelly, and Hincapié, allow me pronunciation done. But big up yourself, Calafiori, once again showing that us fullbacks, whether we're in Sunday League or Premier League, we're the most important on that football pitch. They're not laughing at us anymore, man. Credit to the boys. 3 points up the Gunners.
Ricardo Calafiori don't make no backside sense to me as a football fan or Arsenal fan. But you know what? Listen, there's a method to the madness. He's chaotic. He's freedom within the framework. We might as well discuss it and speak about it, man. It's a madness. I can't lie. I've been gassing up Calafiori, and he's finally giving me some reason to gas him. But as I said, we might as well speak about it. So let's go. In a good way, Ricardo Calafiori intrigues me, and his role makes no sense. And I'm glad, based on the screenshots you could see from some of you commenting on my videos, I am not alone in this. There's a method to the madness, and I'm a fan of it. We all know Zinchenko introduced a few years ago this inverted role. Calafiori and the other options we've had beyond that point have taken it to another level, while ensuring we also remain defensively solid. Again, corner boys in the building. We're the best set piece and defensive side in the Premier League for sure, and definitely up there for Europe. You know, again, I'm not going to insult you guys' intelligence. We know Mikel Arteta likes his left back to invert into central positions, but is it just me, or Calafiori takes this to extremes? He spends most of the match in central midfield. You can see him popping on the left side of central midfield, the right side of central midfield, even see him occupy central positions. He always ensures we have a spare man to pop passes into. In possession, frequently he sits alongside the number 6 as a secondary playmaking midfielder when he's not gallivanting all over the field. Once we then enter the final third, he's liable to appear anywhere and everywhere. He's equally likely to appear as an overlapping wing-back or inside right central positions. Once Arsenal enter the final third, he's liable to appear anywhere and everywhere. He's equally likely to appear as an overlapping wing-back or make the underlap, as shown against Nottingham Forest, not just when he played the pass. You know what they say, attack is a form of defense, as shown versus West Ham. Calafiori sums that up perfectly. And what I mean by that is Gerard Bowen. He was forced to follow Calafiori wherever he went to a degree, forced Bowen infield while simultaneously freeing up our midfielders to push a little bit higher and wider. Obviously, that correlates with us being in the final third and closer to goal and able to generate goal-scoring opportunities. When you study Calafiori's passing chalkboard versus West Ham as a case study, it's actually hard to believe that he started the game as a left-back, people. But this doesn't surprise me. We've seen various games this season. He has a license to roam. That does come at a cost. It does provide trade-offs. But the Italian international has never once neglected his defensive duties, nor can he afford to in this Arsenal side. As you could also see versus West Ham, he dropped back into position quickly whenever Arsenal did not have possession. He did his defensive work very well in an orthodox left-back position. He was effectively 2 players rolled into 1 in this game, which, as you can see via his heat map and what he's played this season, it's nothing too foreign for us Arsenal fans to see. It goes beyond Calafiori. It goes beyond the left-back role. It's not about defending. It's about control. Mikel Arteta doesn't buy players. He buys solutions. Take a look at what Mikel Arteta said here, people. It does leave you with food for thought. If you're listening, then I'll read it out for you. When asked on Calafiori's role within the team, the manager Mikel Arteta said, a lot of dynamism, sometimes a bit chaotic, but I think his dynamism and the spaces and situations that he can create are very difficult to control for the opponent, especially against a team that is very well organized, or low blocks, which we face 9 times out of 10. You have to disrupt their organization in order to create chances, and I think we've done that really well against West Ham. As I said, people, anybody watching Arsenal has probably noticed, not just with Calafiori, but also with Jurrien Timber, we are demanding a lot more, a couple percentages more of them in the final third. To which leads me to ask you guys a question. Currently, is there any player in the Premier League or any Premier League defender who can match Calafiori for sheer mavericky or maverick spirit? As you can see in this screenshot, he's an Italian ball in a China shop. Let's go a step steeper and deeper. For me, I would describe Calafiori as someone who is excellent in contributions to build up play, carrying, and aerial duels. I would describe him as an attacking minded, progressive defender, or at least that's what he is at Arsenal currently. Plays best in a possession dominant side with a side that plays a high line, which is Arsenal Football Club. Defensively sound, but not the most defensively sound. Not a pure destroyer of a defender. Relies more on anticipation and his positioning, and probably has to be guided in defensive situations. I would say, his weaknesses or areas of progression would be clearances, blocking. I think he's less experienced when under pressure in that regard, and or in deep defending. I firmly believe he's a talented player who is a work in progress. When you exclude Mosquera, who's just signed for this football club, Miles Lewis Skelly, Max Dowman, and Ethan Wanyeri, he's the youngest in our side. And as we know, defenders age like fine wine. When you look and break it down statistically, or using a percentile breakdown, which the tacticals of this world love to utilize, you look at his defensive profile. For tackles, he's got 69%, for interceptions 54%, which shows it's above average but not currently elite, and ultimately he's decent defensively. For blocks, he's at 17%. For clearances, he's at 28%, which shows he doesn't do too much emergency defending. And let's be honest, at this moment in time, would you want Calafiori doing that? Utilize his strengths, which are somewhat defensively minded, highlighted more in the middle of the park, and obviously in the final third. For aerials one, or aerial duels one, 90%. He's excellent in the air, which is a key strength of his, as we look to win the first and second balls. Again, the man's a defender. For shot creating actions, 36%, which is slightly below average. Not constantly creating chances like an attacking fullback would, although I think the eyes do a lot better than the statistics. Passes attempted, his average involvement in possession stands at 43%. He's strong and tidy on the ball. His pass completion is 78%, which is better than the 43% of attempted. For progressive passes, he's at 59%. For carries, he's at 75%. For successful take-ons, he's at 36%. Very good at carrying and advancing the ball himself, and shows scope for improvement. For touches, 92%. For progressive passes received, 26%, which shows his touches are high. He's active in build up, however, doesn't receive many progressive passes, maybe to the point where he's involved once again in the build up play. And when he does advance, it's them runs forward off the ball. His offensive output, again, nobody really is going to harp on about non-penalty goals, non-penalty XG, or shots totals, which are all in the 90s, which shows us he provides an extremely high attacking output for a defender. He gets into goal scoring areas, probably due to, arriving in the box early or late and being tasked under Mikel Arteta with doing such. People, you then look at his non-penalty XG and all of those kind of things. He's among the top creators within our side and goal contributors from the back in the whole league. It suggests he supports build-up play and final third play very well, people. So all in all, it shows that he's average creativity via passes. He might get assists. He makes good decisions in the final third. While he's not a constant chance creator, when you've got the Ezes, the Yokerezes, the Sakas, and all the creative options, he's a great support act to have. Zinchenko brought the inverted role to Arsenal, and I won't forget how it felt seeing you in the first season. Although we needed to evolve, and we needed someone who could bring, or players that could bring what you offer in the final third without negating and making us weaker defensively. It shows the defensive evolution under Mikel Arteta, but also the attacking evolution under Arteta, in my opinion. We don't want to see Timber put at left back. We do want to see Miles Lewis Skelly play, but he is a young player. Hincapi will be a great player for Arsenal, in my opinion, but he isn't fit at this moment in time, better yet, and he does need time to adapt to the new league, new signing, and all of that. We needed someone with presence, with technical calm and balance. In my opinion, with chaos, Calafiori brings all three. We know he can probably play as a left-sided centre-half, but owing to Gabriel Magalhaes' importance to the side, you're not going to see that on a consistent basis. He has the passing range to break lines, the willingness to break lines, the mentality to want to offer something in all phases for Arsenal Football Club. He contributes in build-up play, allows us to create overloads. He's a very aggressive front-footed defender. He has a decent reading of danger, which can improve, and good recovery in my opinion. I think he complements Gabriel Magalhaes well, a bit like Miles Lewis-Skelly, because Gabriel Magalhaes obviously has to guard against the space Calafiori leaves, but it's not like Zinchenko where it felt like he had to hold his hand. And it also means the Ezes, the Rices, the midfielders and attackers can benefit more and be further up the field. You know, he's not a Zinchenko 2.0. He's more of a hybrid. He's a centre back with the feet of a midfielder, the heart of a dog, and he's a chaotic left back. Freedom within a framework is what he provides people. Be interesting to see how Calafiori fits long-term into Arsenal and Mikel Arteta's model, which probably is summed up by technical defenders with a flexible structure and a heavy emphasis on positional play and being able to contribute in all phases across the football field. As I said earlier, it's not just about defending, it's about control. Arteta doesn't buy players, he buys solutions. The questions and the talking points for Calafiori is one, can you stay fit? Injuries are a theme. Can you maintain this form? How will you be tested in big games? On the topic of big games, he's passed those tests. He's come through with Newcastle at Anfield against Manchester United and, you know, done his reputation no harm. And also Manchester City, where he let us down, in my opinion, against Salvinho at the Etihad, even though he scored a cracking finish. He did well. On the topic of Manchester City, he was actually the player that had the most touches in their box or in the opposition box. Currently for Arsenal Football Club, he's actually up there for shots, which shows, to go with Timber, that as much as we need Mikel Arteta to find other solutions, there's more of an emphasis on fullbacks providing more in the final third for us. And you can see both of them are threats from set pieces. Let's see if Arteta has finally found that left-sided balance we've needed really and truly for a number of years. Now, there's still question marks. We still don't know who is the first choice left back, what will happen with left wing, and how that indirectly ties into what we're going to do in midfield. You know, we were robbed of the opportunity to really see what Odegaard, Declan Rice, and Eze could do together in the middle of the park. And, you know, you've got them, you've got a Miles Lewis-Skelly or a Calafiori. We can have total control and have creativity from all areas, people. It will be interesting, man. I guess for another video, we'll have to talk about how Calafiori potentially changes the overall dynamic of other players in this side.